Welcome to Naturally Inspired Radio, where we expose what's broken in the healthcare system, connect you to real health solutions, and inspire you to take back control of your life. We want to help you feel empowered, informed, and free to live naturally without fear, confusion, or dependency. Download our latest book on real solutions for health at naturallyinspiredradio.com. Naturally Inspired Radio is a nationally syndicated show broadcast on over 100 radio stations, online platforms, video channels, and podcast feeds. Follow us on your favorite platform today, hit that like button, leave a comment, and engage in our special live stream chats, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com to learn more, register for our weekly giveaway, and explore past episodes. You can also connect directly with Tammy, follow her on all major social media platforms, and discover more about our featured guests and trusted radio partners. Are you looking for better health? Work with Tammy today and take the first step toward a healthier, more empowered lifestyle. Schedule your complimentary 30-minute lifestyle assessment to explore personalized guidance on nutrition, movement, toxin-free living, and natural beauty without pharma. Get started now and discover Tammy's preferred health products at naturallyinspiredstore.com or text Tammy directly 720-303-8868. Love the show and want to support the movement? Head over to naturallyinspiredradio.com and click on the support tab. There you'll find all the ways you can get involved. Join our Naturally Inspired community, become a preferred customer, attend one of our amazing live events, get your backstage pass for exclusive access, and connect to all things naturally inspired. Thank you for tuning in today. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
The information and other content provided on this radio show or in any linked materials is provided for informational purposes only, not intended and should not be construed as medical advice. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment.
Welcome. It is time for Naturally Inspired Radio. Another gorgeous day here in Northern Colorado. I was out feeding my cows today, and I was just looking. Actually, I was out there kind of at midday when the mountains were just gorgeous today. And they were just kind of popping along the front range. And I just stood there and took it in. I feel like nature really grounds you. Like this morning, I was doing a lot of assessments, and then I was preparing for the show today. And you get caught up in everything, and you just think, oh my gosh, this world is going crazy. Like everything is nuts. It's like going off the rails. Like one story after the next story, and just taking a moment with a breath, and looking at the mountain range. And they didn't change today. They're not going off the rails, those mountains. The cows aren't going off the rails. They could care less, They could really care less about the news and everything else. And so there's just something about that just really grounds me. So just a reminder to get out there in nature and ground each and every day, because it is so important, especially just with the pace of things that is happening in today's world. yeah, so remember like the last couple days I've been talking to you about just how kind of crazy it is out in the world when you're interacting with people. Maybe you've noticed, like I have, that people just seem like, especially with customer service, I think customer service is the prime example of this. Used to walk into a store back in the day, I'm dating myself, but back in the day, used to walk into a store and you could ask the clerk there, someone working there, to help you. And they knew exactly what they were, doing there. They knew what was in the store. Imagine that. They knew what was in the store. They knew what they sold. They knew a little bit about this. They knew a little bit about that. And so when you asked for help, they were capable of helping you. And I was pointing this out. Maybe it was last week. I thought it was it was yesterday, but maybe it was last week. Just that there feels like there's a decline in that capability. And there feels like there's a decline. Like yesterday we covered the Campbell soup thing, right? The Campbell soup thing and these two, executives that are like suing each other and, their language, their demeanor, it's just like, we've lost all professionalism, it feels like, and capability. And then today I saw something in the news as well where, oh gosh, and I can't remember who it was, but some politician was pretty much lecturing the American public about how to up your standards when you're flying. Don't go to the airport in your pajamas and your slippers. Let's bring some class back to flying because people are acting like buffoons on planes, right? Being rude. There's fights in the airport. It's really bad out there. And so here's this politician lecturing the public like, hey, man, bring your class to the airport. Maybe get out of your pajamas, but you go to the store and that's what you see nowadays too, right? People in pajamas. And there's just this it feels like, just a degradation of society happening. And guess what? We're not imagining it. We're actually not imagining it. So there's a new study out today about cognitive impairment and how it's skyrocketing across America. So we ain't getting smarter right now. In fact, it's the opposite. We're seeing a lot more cognitive impairment. And the medical news today, several references here. Medical news today linked this decline in cognitive faculties, I guess you could say, to chronic insomnia. Is one of the reasons. So it is actually linked to 3.5 years of aging faster. Okay, so people are not sleeping. I could have told you that. Just from my assessments and meeting with people. Sleep is a real issue. And so cognitive impairment is linked to chronic insomnia. And then we have skyrocketing numbers in Alzheimer's, aging in Alzheimer's. That to me, this is just my opinion, that to me is linked directly to diet culture and to the fat-free movement. I feel like we're still living through that. A lot of the fallout from diet culture, I believe, is linked to Alzheimer's. And then just cognitive decline in older people. We could relate that maybe to some of the new medications and the polypharmacy that we're experiencing in our culture. We're also experiencing a decision-making decline. Okay, so ResearchGate has an article about how we're actually not capable of making decisions as much as we used to be. So all this is very, very interesting. Also, some of the other variables that they're studying in this cognitive study is loneliness and social isolation. And I find that very interesting, you guys, because you know me, I've been talking about technology and the fact that I believe there is a technology-induced brain dysfunction happening where it's really, changing the way people think, the way people interact, memory. I mean, a lot of things are being impacted by technology. And instead of acknowledging technology, people are getting medical diagnosis. And then, of course, they're getting put on pharmacy. So really, we need the push to acknowledge that technology is impacting us. What are some of the other things that I don't think that these articles have brought up? And I have to say, the time people spend and invest on social media, on their little sects, if you will, their little, sects of culture, sects like SECTS, not sex. People probably need to spend more time on sex, actually, and less time on the portal, But they spend this time in their little tribes. So if it's their left, tribe, or the right tribe, or the Q tribe, or the AOC tribe, or whatever. There's all these little groups, that have popped up, and I think a lot of them are psyops. I'm just going to be honest with you. I think a lot of these groups are psyops. And we've got to be questioning, what the purpose of us diving into these subculture groups, what it's doing for us. Like, what is it doing for you? Because I've been pointing out here, over the last, I don't know how many months, that your country is run like a corporation. And the players running the countries now, they're essentially the CEOs of your country. And they're also, making a lot of money doing this job. Nobody gets into politics anymore for civic duty, okay? Politics has become a way to make a lot of money. And one of the ways that you're able to make so much money is by controlling legislation, by controlling regulation, right? By whipping votes to pass specific regulation and laws that support your business. Because we're in corporatized America, corporatized countries now, where corporations have so much power. Now, the people, we're still buying into the narrative. We're still buying into the soul of our countries, We're still patriots. We still love our Constitution. We still love our American culture. And we're hanging on to that. And that narrative, that storyline, that's the story they use to weaponize against us in order to whip votes this way or that way. But behind the scenes, a lot of the voting and legislation is really supporting these people in politics, their investments. I mean, look at Nancy Pelosi, right? She has a whole Twitter account dedicated to her trades because she's so incredibly successful with her stock trades. You see what I'm getting at here? Mark Carney in Canada, I talked about this week. He came from essentially the Bank of the UK, right? Like he was in charge of the UK's currency. And then he shifted into Brookfield, which has all their assets as a private equity firm. And all of their assets are invested in the climate change cult stuff. right? And now he gets into politics. He's the PM of Canada. And what's he doing? He's implementing the climate change stuff so that all the people have to invest and support the climate change thing, which then, his whole company's into that. Well, it's the same everywhere, and I'm just pointing this out. I'm not blaming anybody, okay? I just really want the people to understand how politics is working, how the corporations are dominating and controlling our country, so that you can invest in you and not spend your time, being a tool for them. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back.
Did you know that a single collagen supplement could support your heart health, help protect against EMF exposure, and reduce inflammation all at the same time? Our preferred foundational collagen not only supports radiant skin and joint mobility, but also promotes heart health, reduces inflammation, strengthens hair and nails, provides added protection against the effects of EMF exposure, and so much more. Our favorite collagen is super absorbable and easy to take. Just 1 tablespoon in the morning and another in the evening for maximum benefits. Here's what our listeners have to say.
This collagen is so easy to take, I've noticed a huge difference in my hair and nails after just a few weeks.
Since I started using Tammy's preferred collagen, my joints feel more flexible and my skin looks smoother.
Try it today at naturalinspiredradio.com/collagen. When you purchase from Naturally Inspired, you get access to our group health coaching call and so much more. Go to naturalinspiredradio.com/collagen.
Did you know over 70% of Americans are on at least one prescription drug, many with side effects that cause more problems than they actually solve? When you visit your doctor, chances are you're going to leave with a prescription. And when you work with a natural health practitioner and pay out of pocket, you can spend thousands of dollars and still not get the results that you need. So that's why we created Naturally Inspired Health Community, where you get health coaching, you get guidance and community support for free just by purchasing the same top-tier EWG certified clean products that I personally use and recommend. So when you make your first order over $50 and become a member for free, you get 15% discount off all the retail products. Not only that, you get free and flat rate shipping. You get loyalty points. I just helped somebody get some free omegas the other day. So you get loyalty points that you can put towards free product. You could get access to our weekly wellness workshops every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. You get private online health community, access to back office and archive calls. You get personal access to me on my health text line, and you get wellness guidance. So when you join our community, you're not just buying products that you already buy, right? That you're buying maybe from some big box stores. You're investing in your health. You're investing in new knowledge, and you are supporting freedom, medical freedom from the pharmaceutical trap. So join us today at the naturalinspiredstore.com. Feel supported, get informed, and truly inspired to live well naturally. naturalinspiredstore.com. Okay, so I guess what I'm saying here, is that business is the name of the game here. And there is big business happening right now because of we're leaving the Industrial Revolution and we're entering into the digital revolution, the biological revolution. And this is the biggest change humanity's ever been through. That's what they're saying, right? And so I guess my concern is, well, everybody's following these little narratives here and there, and this is the new story, and my team's on the left, and my team's on the right, and we're following all these storylines every day. I just want to make sure people are preparing and that they're ready, because these big players, let me tell you, they're positioning themselves and they're getting ready. Like I've mentioned to you, Mark Carney, he's ready, man. He is pushing that climate stuff because he's selling climate energy. He's in the solar panels. He's in the wind farms. He's in the data centers, you know, the net zero. He's all in, man. He is ready for the future. Are you? Trump's ready. Trump's ready. And I'm just saying, like, this is the world we're living in. And if we're just like walking around, just like, you know, watching everything and taking all this information in, are we upregulating what we need to for ourselves, those higher faculties? Well, we're seeing evidence that cognitive impairment is rising. You know, and I knew that this would be an issue as artificial intelligence comes in, and also the drain from, you know, the tech brain, right? The technology-induced brain dysfunction. So, like, we're going to have to really work at it. We're going to have to work to claim our intellect and to keep it. So, I guess my point is, you know, like, watch what the big players are doing. Because this is Trump. Watch this clip.
Group to make crypto, to make America the world capital in crypto under your leadership,
which is really going up, right?
Absolutely.
All right, David, that's for you.
Thanks, sir.
You find them exciting? They might not be excited, but they're going to make a lot of money for the country.
Okay, you know, so make America the world capital for crypto, right? We're going to make a lot of money. We're going to make a lot of money. Okay, great. But look what the Trumps are doing. This is Eric Trump today.
Welcome to American Bitcoin. It's a little sneak peek of our facility in Texas using American energy to mine Bitcoin right here on American soil. We could not be more proud of this facility. 35,000 of these servers right here, all liquid cooled, securing the network, mining Bitcoin. Every single day we mine about 2% of the world's Bitcoin supply, and we safeguard it every single day. So when people say that cryptocurrency is intangible, it's not. It's very tangible. And this right here, guys, is living proof. Take a look at the company. Come join us. We could not be more excited about our growth. I truly believe that we're building one of the great crypto companies.
Getting ready, right? Getting ready. I mean, hey, this is the board that we're playing on here. This is the game, right? Every leader in politics these days, you know, they're not in it for their health. Okay. It's like, you know, government regulation can really stop up your business. It can totally stop it. You know, like in the climate stuff, Mark Carney found out, you know, he invested in Westinghouse, which, you know, was bought by a company in Japan, which essentially they came to a halt because the government regulation shut it down. Mark Carney's Brookfield bought it. And now he's in politics to doing regulation around climate change. You see what I'm saying? Like, this is the way business is now. Okay. The government is so intertwined into it and into these corporations. It's a revolving door. This is how, you know, the world is running these days. And I just want everybody to be aware of that, because we've got to prepare, because there's a lot of things happening, right? A lot of changes coming. And I'm just concerned that people aren't ready. A lot of this stuff, you know, it's a psyop. Right? A distraction, a storyline, a cast of characters to buy in, to gain your support and to gain the momentum for that particular agenda, for whatever side it is. Okay? And so I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be feeling like a little bit like, oh my gosh, was I buying into a psyop? Well, we all do. I don't think you should feel ashamed about it. I don't think that, because, there's going to be a lot coming out, and I already see stuff in the comments, because the Republican Party is being strengthened right now. Any dissenters from the Republican narrative is being pushed out right now. Like Thomas Massey's being pushed out. MTG's gone now. Rand Paul's under attack. Like anybody who isn't going to toe the tight little knit Republican Party agenda for corporations and corporate advancement and money and economics, and because that's who we voted in. We voted in the top businessman in the world to run the country. So don't be surprised when money's the number one priority. That's how it is. That's how it is in every country, I feel like now. Money is the number one priority. And so decisions are being made to tighten up because we're in a very important time in the race towards, the digital revolution. And so I think there's going to be a lot of people that just feel like, oh my gosh, a little disjointed. Was I caught up in a psyop? Probably. But be patient with yourself, because it's been a crazy time, right? Like getting caught up in a psyop doesn't mean that you're not, it doesn't mean you're stupid. Some of the, most smartest people in the world get caught up in psyops. Okay. It's a list that you kind of have to check down, and nobody's immune. Nobody's immune. But I do want to go through, about 10 different points here that we can all kind of carry with us as we're using discernment through news stories and stuff like that. I think it will help. So we don't get caught up in other people's agenda to, support something that maybe that doesn't benefit us. Because it's crucial now that we lock in for ourselves and work on our higher faculties and decide what we want. Because everybody else is planning. And if we're just sitting here watching the storyline unfold and, oh my gosh, root for this team and we're getting down to it now, trust the plan, all that stuff. Like, I just want to make sure you're okay. If you want to watch that stuff, because it's entertaining or what have you, then great. But make sure you're prepared. Make sure you're prepared. So one, analyze the source when you're looking at news stories. I have to do this every day. Every day I think, oh, I'm going to use that clip. And then I go and I try to find it places, and guess what? It's not true. I'm like, oh my gosh. It's so hard to vet stuff nowadays. So, don't feel stupid or feel like, oh, I didn't know, because I'm getting tricked by AI all the time, and sometimes I'll send something to my kid and my kid's like, Mom, that's AI. And I'm like, oh God, it's really hard to tell. So give yourself some grace, right? But do analyze the source. Where is it coming from? And can you find it multiple trusted places? Okay, number one. Number two, you see a story come out, look at the timing of it. Okay, so is there a story that's coming out about, very distracting story, and is it right around an election? Is something passing? Is there a smear story that it, is trying to be distracted from? Timing is really crucial when you're using discernment to find out truth, because I think we all do want the truth. Stay tuned, everybody. This is Naturally Inspired Radio. I'm Tammy Cuthbert Garcia, and I'm so glad you're here. We'll be right back.
Did you know 80% of beef consumed in the U.S. comes from 4 major corporations, much of it being imported or processed with additives? Want real beef from a real farm? Pumpkin Creek Ranch does things the right way. Local, grass-fed, dry-aged beef with no additives, no shortcuts, just honest quality.
Pumpkin Creek Ranch beef is the real deal. I love knowing exactly where my meat comes from. No additives, no nonsense, just honest quality beef.
Best beef I've ever had. You can taste the difference. Rich, tender, and packed with real flavor. Plus, supporting a local ranch makes it even better.
From pasture to plate, they raise their cattle with care, so you can get rich, natural flavor that only real ranching can provide. Stock your freezer with premium beef you can trust. Visit pumpkincreekranchco.com or call 970-658-0176.
Welcome back. Again, I just want to reiterate, I'm sure I've gotten sucked into psyops before. I'm sure of it. There are narratives that you just you're like, what's going on here, right? And the thing about a psyop too is a lot of time there's grains of truth in there. There is grains of real truth in there, and that's what they're kind of built off of, right? These storylines. But we got to be more discerning now than ever. And again, it's about investing in ourselves, right? To bring American culture back to the things that we want to see more of. And a lot of times we get distracted with these narratives that are out there, and that keeps us from doing that. And that's kind of the point. So use discernment and look at the timing of a story. So is some other scandal brewing? That's, this is a bigger story than that. Is it really sensationalized headlines? Okay, that's one thing to look at. The third thing is follow the narratives of our multiple outlets following the same headline with parroting the same language. No doubt during COVID, you saw some of those montages of those clips where, local news carriers were saying the exact same sentences over and over and over. And I mean, just hundreds of them, right? We saw it with safe and effective, right? Safe and effective, safe and effective. I just played you a clip yesterday. Still, 5 years later, they can't say the word COVID-19 vaccine without following it up with, well, we know it was safe and effective. Okay? That's because they're trying to seep that into your brain so that you correlate it directly every single time. It's kind of like the operations like social engineering, where, you never heard, when I was a kid, you never heard the word toxic masculinity. Now you barely hear the word masculinity without toxic in front of it. Toxic masculinity. You see what I'm saying? It permeates our language, and then it infiltrates our culture. So we have to be really careful about that. So COVID-19 mRNA vaccines that were safe and effective. So following the narrative, if it's coming from multiple outlets and they're parroting all the same language, ding, 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 red flag. Okay. Next, emotional triggers. Emotional triggers are big because that's what keeps you coming back. And in terms of our country, when it comes to politics and when it comes to all these little groups, they're playing on your emotions, okay? Because you love your country and you want it to be everything that you want it to be. And you want your politicians to be, saving the day and fighting for you and trying to get what you want and restoring things back in the country. But the truth is, the only people that can restore American culture back to where we want it to be with our values and beliefs is us. Because we're the ones that shape culture. Now, if we're busy chasing this narrative and that narrative and waiting for this and waiting for that, and it's all a big, chess game or whatever, then we're not acting. We're not paying attention to the right things. Okay? So be careful of those emotional triggers. There's also a focus on authority here when it becomes to emotional triggers. Like yesterday when I was telling you about the characters, I read that little piece from the English major that was talking about her English professor that was like always trying to focus on the fact that the characters were tools to execute the storyline, right? I don't think we look at that because we get so invested because we're emotional beings and we identify with other human beings. And so we end up investing in the character and not realizing that the character is a tool of the bigger storyline. And it is a way for the writer to execute the story. Very powerful when you start looking at things that way, right? Like, oh, who's this character entering the scene? Where'd this guy come from? What's he supposed to be teaching us? What part of the story is he being used to execute? That's a different viewpoint, right? When you see somebody new on the scene, what's this guy here for? You know what I mean? And I think people like Thomas Massey, Rand Paul, MTG, I hope Ron Johnson's going to be okay because he's not really one that executes the storyline. He kind of goes off script a lot. And so you're going to see, I think, some of these people who go off script pushed out because there's a goal here, right? There's a goal here. So just be careful of that, right? Emotional triggers. Don't allow your emotions to be weaponized against you. Number 5 thing we can do is check evidence. Try to find sourced material. Just look at COVID, right? Man, the media told everybody that those dang injections were going to stop, they were going to stop transmission. This disease stops with you as soon as you get this. That was the storyline on TV, okay? But if you went to the sourced material, which was the product website, like directly from Pfizer, it said right there on the website that it did not stop transmission. You see what I'm saying? So this is a movie out here in the ether, the storylines, the narratives, the little group. This is not real. So we got to get back to sourced information, okay? And another thing I think is important to recognize too is that everything's not all worked out. Yes, there is strategy. People play strategy in politics. People play strategy in business, right? You've always got to have a strategy. What's your end in mind with your business? What are you trying to accomplish? Doesn't mean you're going to get it right. I feel like sometimes people think that everything's already worked out. Just trust it. It's all going to unfold and this is going to be the output. This is going to be what comes out of it. That's impossible. That's impossible. I have a plan too. Every day I have a plan. Do you have a plan every day? Does it work out perfectly for you every day? It doesn't, does it? We're living in reality here. Things happen, negotiations change, deals change, people change sides. Their motivation changes, especially with a little bit of extortion, their motivation will change and that'll completely change the storyline. See what I'm saying? So it's not fixed. And I think we should stop thinking that it is, okay? Because that is a psyop. If someone's trying to get you to think that it's all planned out and the end's already in place, No, like life is fluid, right? Life is fluid. Stuff happens. You have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. And so check evidence, because the story can be really trumped up in the media and stuff, and it might not even be true. Yeah, just I think about it, and I think about how much time and energy I've wasted on stuff that never happened. That never happened. How did that serve us? How did that serve us? So number 6, is this going to expand government control or justify new laws? When we're looking at politics, every new thing, right? Is this going to expand government and justify new laws? Or is this really a solution? I'm telling you, like the Muslim invasion is here. And to me, that is a viable opportunity for government to expand control and justify new laws, because Dearborn, Michigan is heating up, right? We've got incidences now all over the country, some in Florida, some in Dearborn, Michigan, where we're having clashes because the Muslim Brotherhood is not conducive with the Western world. Shocker. Like we didn't know that, right? So I think that could be used, and it's just my opinion. I think that the allowance of that type of immigration into our country, that could be used to bring in heightened surveillance, to bring in things like digital ID, because people just aren't safe, right? So you've always got to think, like, why is this happening? And is this going to expand government control or even justify new laws? Number 7, real news coexists with other stories. This is a good one. And by the way, I got a lot of these from Chase Hughes, who actually studies psyops and has a background and expertise in psyops. So this one was real news coexists with other stories. So if there's a story dominating, and that's all you see, like just bam, 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 just one post after the next is really being drilled in. That's a clue. That's a red flag that this could be a psychological operation to capture your attention, because the truth is stuff's happening all over the world all the time, every single day, even in your little town. Real news coincides, there's other things going on. But when the news is being absolutely dominated by something, it's a red flag for a psychological operation. Real news also has updates. Things change in the story, right? If there's an accident, if there's something's going on, there's updates to that news story. You don't just keep hearing the same thing over and over and over again. Like safe and effective, safe and effective, safe and effective, safe and effective. It's all you hear. Safe and effective, cases, 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 right? It wasn't like, oh my gosh, we found out that ivermectin's helping people. That would have been evolution on the story, because it was. But that failed to be reported because that was a psyop. Stay tuned, everybody. This is Naturally Inspired Radio. Your naturally inspired moment is up next. We'll be right back.
Did you know that nearly 70% of Americans struggle with their health every single day? That's why we are reaching out to health professionals and to anyone who simply has a heart for helping people. Right now, there's an opportunity to make a real difference in people's lives while building a flexible income stream for yourself. Whether you're already working in health, wellness, or just passionate about seeing people thrive, we want to connect with you and introduce you to our system. Together, we can provide real solutions that empower people to take control of their health and create lasting impact. If you've been looking for a way to combine purpose with income, this is it. Visit simplehealthincome.com or text 720-764-7448. That's simplehealthincome.com or text 720-764-7448. We look forward to working with you.
Did you know that most people never get to the root cause of their fatigue, their weight gain, or inflammation? That's because they're chasing symptoms instead of interpreting communication. That is what's coming from your body. They aren't symptoms. It is communication. Laura from Colorado said, I was tired of quick fixes that never lasted. Tammy helped me see what my body was really asking for. With her plan, I regained my energy, improved my digestion, and I finally feel in control of my health again. So work with me. Try it today. Get a 90-day plan, priority access to my text line, and VIP access to weekly wellness workshops. You can schedule your free health and lifestyle assessment at naturallyinspiredstore.com/assessment or naturallyinspiredstore.com. Everything's labeled on there now. Jason's done such a fantastic job. You can find what you need there, whether it's assessments, protocols for different health topics we've discussed here, and so much more. If you have any questions at all, just text me, 720-303-8868. It's really me. It's not some kind of bot. It is really me. I'm out here connecting with my community each and every day, and I would have it no other way. All right, let's move on to our naturally inspired moment, because today's a good one. Of course, this is a week of Thanksgiving, and so it had me thinking about gratitude this morning. And I know everybody talks about gratitude. It's kind of like, I feel like it's like overdone. Like gratitude journals and practice gratitude and, that whole movement of like, I don't know, like positivity, I guess. Really, like it seems to have adopted the word gratitude. And sometimes I'm like, I'm so like, I've heard it, you know what I mean? But so I wanted to take a different take on gratitude today. And the take that I wanted to talk about is that gratitude is actually a biological event in your body. So it's not just a nice idea, and it's not a polite habit, and it's not even like, a positivity practice, where you can think your way into positivity with practicing gratitude. No, it's actually a biological event. Every time you intentionally shift your attention towards something you appreciate, you activate neural pathways that change the chemistry in your brain. So here's how it works. Gratitude, it boosts dopamine. So dopamine is the neurotransmitter of motivation and reward. When you practice gratitude, your brain releases more dopamine, which helps you feel more optimistic. It helps you feel more capable and more willing to take positive actions in the day. So you're training your brain to notice what's good instead of what's missing. And that's so powerful because it isn't about thinking your way into positivity. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm saying that our feelings, the way we feel, drives our action. So, when you just you feel like, oh gosh, I really don't want to work out. I'm tired. My feet are kind of hurting. And then you allow the train to leave the station in a negative direction, like, oh, I didn't bring my shoes. Oh, and I don't really have this. And you know what? It's kind of raining outside. And then you see like, boom, 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 boom. And that will drive your actions straight to missing that workout. So it's not about thinking your way into positivity. Your thoughts drive your actions. And so the next time you start off on that kind of direction of like, oh man, my feet really hurt, this and that, how many thoughts are you going to let go by before you kind of laugh at yourself? Because you know what's going on, right? You're talking yourself out of it. You're giving yourself a way out. And why are you doing that? You want better results. So start identifying the direction your thoughts are taking you, because they are driving you directly to your actions. Number 2, it increases serotonin. So serotonin is tied to mood. It's tied to emotional stability. It's tied to sleep. So important. And it's tied to overall well-being. So gratitude practice naturally increases your serotonin levels, similar to the effect of certain, actions like working out, like a runner's high. Except gratitude has no side effects, right? You don't like if you were to take a pill for changing your mood, gratitude doesn't have any side effects, right? And many of these pills people take, they don't actually improve mood. They remove mood. You actually don't feel anything. It numbs mood. And so gratitude is something that you can practice on demand and change your mood instantly with no side effects. Number 3, gratitude and thinking about things that you're grateful for actually reduces your cortisol levels. So a lot of people I talk to these days, they know they've got a cortisol level issue. And I was listening to a popular podcast yesterday, I think it was, and they were talking about this, about cortisol, how everybody seems to be, is almost stuck in fight or flight these days, because the world is so uncertain. And we don't know where it's going, and we don't know what's coming next. And so a lot of people feel that, like they're stuck in fight or flight. They're stuck with high cortisol levels. And of course, cortisol is the stress hormone. And studies show that gratitude lowers cortisol and calms the nervous system, pulling you out of fight or flight or freeze. And this creates space for clearer thinking and better decision making. Remember at the beginning of the show when I told you, I was out there feeding my cows and I just stopped and looked at the mountains today because they were just popping, Sometimes they're cloudy, you can't see here, but today, obviously Colorado's got beautiful mountain range. But today, man, I just really had to take a moment and look at my cows and feel my feet on my land and then appreciate the mountain range. Because all the chaos in the world, this is what I'm trying to get at today, really, is we're chasing around all these stories and everybody's hating on each other and left and right and all this stuff. It's all manufactured crap. And the more we can connect to real, like our land and the people around us and our children and the mountains and the animals, I think the quicker we're going to remember who we are. Because who we are is actually being threatened. And so I think that's why intuitively people are just just feeling it. They're just feeling these high cortisol levels. And that was echoed in that popular podcast I was listening to. Number 4, it rewires neural patterns. The more you practice gratitude, the more your brain defaults to it. So instead of going down the, I didn't bring my shoes, I probably shouldn't go, I feel kind of tired, it's kind of wet out, or instead of going along that direction, it's actually a pattern that you're building when you practice gratitude that your brain will default to. Instead of, I'm not going to go work out, blah, blah, just break that train of thought and insert gratitude. I got the legs to work out today. I should probably put them to use. Because somebody somewhere is laying in a bed right now praying that they get back the use of their legs. Sometimes it has to be that dramatic to get your brain to where it needs to be for you to be able to execute the action that you need to take. If you knew what went on in here in my brain, you'd be like, girl, you are crazy. You got to dig deep when you're running marathons. You got to like make up some storylines. Like you got to go, girl. You got to go, and you got to pump yourself up. And so use it. This is your imagination. You're in control of it. Use it as a tool to help you, not to drag you down. Because over time, gratitude becomes not just something you do, but it actually becomes just who you are. That's your default setting. Number 5, it opens the door to emotional resilience. Gratitude doesn't erase challenges, but it strengthens you from them. It reminds the brain, there is good here. I'm not powerless. There is hope. And that shift alone changes physiology. It'll change your perspective, and it'll give you new possibility. If you allow the train of thought to go down the negative, well, you know where it's going to end up, right? It's going to end up taking away from your goals. It's going to end up taking away from you feeling good. It's going to set you back. So build in a default program. Like maybe there's a mental movie that you can build that just makes you feel grateful. And let that become your default setting. You know, again, using the contrast is really, really good. I mean, there's a couple of accounts that I just follow on Instagram of people, you know, that have persevered over incredible circumstances. And when I'm lagging, dragging, not really wanting to go do the workout, starting to feel the thoughts go to the place like, well, you know, my shoes are getting kind of worn out. Maybe I should skip today and go get some new shoes tomorrow. And you know, that stuff, when I start down that road, boom, I go to their accounts and I look at them, and maybe they're learning to walk again, or maybe they only have one leg and they've had to have surgery or whatever it is. And I go, yeah, be grateful today that your problem is you don't feel like going to the gym. You don't feel like it, right? Because there's somebody over here who would give anything to be able to go to the gym today. And so just use that contrast, because it will completely change your state. It will overwhelm you with gratitude, and it will change your biological state, lifting you up. So pause. Here's an action step that you can do to kind of break that circuit of thinking. You can pause. Don't even have to like go into something. Just pause. Just put some space in between you and the thoughts that are going to take you in a direction that you don't want to go. So pause for 30 seconds. Place your hand over your heart. And then just say, thank you. Thank you for, express gratitude. Thank you for my legs that work. Thank you for my eyes that see. Even if it feels silly or stupid, just push through it, and eventually the feeling will rise, because your brain listens, your nervous system responds, and your chemistry will change. Gratitude isn't just a feeling, it's a tool, and you can use it. Stay tuned, everybody.
Are you ready to stay informed and inspired 24/7? Tune in to Naturally Inspired Radio anytime, anywhere. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com, or for the best mobile experience, download the Simple Radio app. Search for Naturally Inspired Radio, save it to your favorites, and click on the graphic to listen instantly. Catch live broadcasts, revisit past shows, dive into long-form podcast conversations, and discover rare, censored presentations by leading health experts. Plus, explore documentaries uncovering the hidden truths of occult and esoteric history. Stay connected, stay inspired. Naturally Inspired Radio is always at your fingertips. Tune in now. For health questions or comments, text Tammy directly at 720-303-8868. NaturallyInspiredRadio.com.
Welcome to Naturally Inspired Radio, where we expose what's broken in the healthcare system, connect you to real health solutions, and inspire you to take back control of your life. We want to help you feel empowered, informed, and free to live naturally without fear, confusion, or dependency. Download our latest book on real solutions for health at naturallyinspiredradio.com. Naturally Inspired Radio is a nationally syndicated show broadcast on over 100 radio stations, online platforms, video channels, and podcast feeds. Follow us on your favorite platform today, hit that like button, leave a comment, and engage in our special live stream chats, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com to learn more, register for our weekly giveaway, and explore past episodes. You can also connect directly with Tammy, follow her on all major social media platforms, and discover more about our featured guests and trusted radio partners. Are you looking for better health? Work with Tammy today and take the first step toward a healthier, more empowered lifestyle. Schedule your complimentary 30-minute lifestyle assessment to explore personalized guidance on nutrition, movement, toxin-free living, and natural beauty without pharma. Get started now and discover Tammy's preferred health products at naturallyinspiredstore.com or text Tammy directly 720-303-8868. Love the show and want to support the movement? Head over to naturallyinspiredradio.com and click on the support tab. There you'll find all the ways you can get involved. Join our Naturally Inspired community, become a preferred customer, attend one of our amazing live events, get your backstage pass for exclusive access, and connect to all things naturally inspired. Thank you for tuning in today. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
The information and other content provided on this radio show or in any linked materials is provided for informational purposes only, not intended and should not be construed as medical advice. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment.
Welcome back. You're listening to Naturally Inspired Radio. I'm Tammy Cuthbert-Garcia, and I'm so glad you are joining me today. In the first hour, we've been talking about, the culture shaping of our country and the fact that we have a problem with cognitive impairment. It's actually rising in America. And we talked about a bunch of different things about why that might be happening. We're definitely a culture that is not sleeping well. And that can be a contributor to cognitive decline. And then we have a skyrocketing problem with Alzheimer's and dementia. And I think our food has something to do with that. I think polypharmacy has something to do with that. And of course, aging, we're not building in strategies for aging the way we should be. I think that's contributing. Also, decision making is on the decline. And so that I think is because there's a culture of like nanny state, right? Like ask for permission, like wait till somebody tells you. There's a real lack of teaching critical thinking, and that's like woven into the fabric of our school system. I really noticed that, when my kids were small and first in school before I pulled them out to homeschool. It's like, let them learn, some natural consequences here. Also, loneliness. We're very isolated when it comes to technology. A lot of people spending time one-on-one with technology and less time in social situations. And this is all contributing to cognitive impairment. And we talked a lot about psyops as well. And the fact that, the political culture is changing yet again. We're seeing people who, don't necessarily stick to the narrative, exactly. People like Thomas Massey, people like Rand Paul, people like MTG. They're now being pushed out of what we would call the right, I guess. And so, you got to wonder about the bigger picture and what the agenda is. And all I'm saying here is that, it's not a lot we can do about this agenda. This, Klaus Schwab, I'm going to play you a clip from him now. He lines it out very, very point blank. Like, we are in a revolution here. It's the digital revolution. And it's a changing. And we need to be ready for it. And that means, tuning into our faith, tuning into our higher faculties, making sure we're healthy, so we have the best possibility of the best outcome as we move through this time. I pulled this clip for you. I want to play it for you before we go into our American moment. This is Klaus Schwab telling you what's to come.
The Schwab Academy. The mission of the Schwab Academy is to prepare people for the tremendous changes which will be caused by the transformation from the industrial to the intelligent age. The intelligent age is based on a combination of many life-changing technologies. Of course, artificial intelligence, but there is also quantum computing and many other technologies which will have a tremendous impact on how we live, how we communicate, and we have to prepare for those changes now. I started first with the book Thriving and Leading in the Intelligent Age to provide a kind of introduction, and now I'm looking at specific areas where I can help people to understand what's coming up and to prepare for it.
There you have it. I think they're going through a rebranding. I don't think it worked out very well. I don't know. These guys, they ended up being more supervillains than anything through COVID and whatnot. Does anybody realize we didn't even know who Klaus Schwab was before COVID? You know what I mean? Hello, the cast of characters entered the stage. You know what I'm saying? So we're now rebranding from the Great Reset because nobody liked that. Well, you and I didn't like it. We're rebranding now into the intelligent age. Yes, it's the intelligent age. I found that really interesting considering we have, this issue of cognitive impairment happening. We really are going to have to work for our intellect. We're going to have to be purposeful for, reading and writing and thinking and questioning and creating and producing art and producing materials and being producers and creators. Because if we're not mindful about it, it's pretty easy to sit back and let things unfold, But if we sit back and we let things unfold, then we don't have any agency over what happens to our culture. And there's a very active movement to make you think, well, you don't even have a culture. You're American. You don't have a culture. It's just like a bunch of immigrants that came here and they're the culture, not you. And that's precisely why now every show I've built in a little American moment, because you do indeed have culture, and it's actually quite fabulous and exciting and innovative and cool. And here's the definition of culture, just so you know. So culture is the shared pattern of beliefs, values, behaviors, customs, language, art, and social norms that define a group of people. It's essentially, quote, how we do things around here. And there's a lot of people out there right now that are pushing to make you think that you do not have any culture. And that couldn't be further from the truth. One of the most, I would say, profound characteristics of American culture is perseverance. Yeah. I mean, historically, we have very high levels of perseverance. And I don't think that we should forget this. Things like, ordinary people facing extraordinary odds, farmers, blacksmiths, teachers, tradesmen. These people all stood out against the most powerful empire on earth, not because they were guaranteed victory, but because they believed freedom was worth the fight. Remember that? They didn't quit when it was uncomfortable or dangerous or uncertain. And that DNA to push forward, even when the odds say no, still lives in America today. Now, we may have been psyoped into thinking we're terrible people and we have a lot of privilege and we don't deserve what we have and all the rest of it. But I'm here to remind you that as Americans, you've gone through a lot and you're still here. And your ancestors went through a ton for you to be here. And so don't ever let anybody tell you that you don't have any culture. Here's a little clip reminding you of perseverance way back from something called the Dust Bowl. Watch this.
I think there's a lot of things that go into making us whatever we become in life. I was born in 1927 on the brink of the Great Depression and the Great Dust Bowl. And my parents had come here from the Indian Territory. They were born and raised in the Indian Territory. And they had come here, and everything was wonderful. Grass was wonderful. The windmills gave them plenty of water. Everything was wonderful. And suddenly, there's no rain. So my father and some of our hired hands and some of the family drove our cattle and horses north out of Wildorada far enough that they could be on ranch land, and it took them 2 weeks to drive all of the horses and cattle across land into New Mexico on a ranch which my father had bought. The ranch had been divided into 2 parts. We got the part that had only a line camp on it. A line camp is just a little tin building, not nearly as large as this room that we're in. And all of our family lived in that line camp.
And she goes on later in the video, she says, not just her family, but anybody visiting. And then, of course, there was some, boys that were working on the ranch. And, well, they had to sleep there, too. And everybody worked together to feed. And these were the difficult times, but they didn't give up. They didn't go, well, we don't got any rain, so I guess we're just going to let our animals die. No. They did what they had to do. right? They persevered. And I think we've forgotten a lot of this stuff. Like, it's just a little reminder, you know? And I love that she said this, that there's things in life that we go through that make us into whatever we become in life. And I thought about that when she said it, because we're going through difficult times and things are changing fast and it's uncertain. And so you have to ask ourselves, are we going to allow these times to change us and make us into whatever we become in life? Because that's what she did. Let's listen to the second part here.
And dirt, dust every day. There, at that particular time, the dust actually raised into the sky. And then the wind propelled that. It's true, you know, that the wind would whip it up, but it wasn't like, you know, you seen the wind blow the dirt across here. So as the dust cloud came in, it would be like this. Then as the dust cloud came in, it would become dark. So we burned kerosene. We had kerosene lamps that we also, when the Depression got so we couldn't buy kerosene, we made tallow lamps, which you would take the fat of the cow, the fat part, which is called tallow, and you would melt that, put it in a large dish, take string and make a wick out of that, and burn that for light.
Those are the challenges that they were living through. Imagine that. You're living in the Dust Bowl. You got a depression going on. You're living in a shack with a whole bunch of strangers and your family. And you just keep going, because what else are you going to do? Right? Stay tuned. This is Naturally Inspired Radio, and we'll be right back.
Did you know that a single collagen supplement could support your heart health, help protect against EMF exposure, and reduce inflammation all at the same time? Our preferred foundational collagen not only supports radiant skin and joint mobility, but also promotes heart health, reduces inflammation, strengthens hair and nails, provides added protection against the effects of EMF exposure, and so much more. Our favorite collagen is super absorbable and easy to take. Just 1 tablespoon in the morning and another in the evening for maximum benefits. Here's what our listeners have to say.
This collagen is so easy to take, I've noticed a huge difference in my hair and nails after just a few weeks.
Since I started using Tammy's preferred collagen, my joints feel more flexible and my skin looks smoother.
Try it today at naturalinspiredраdio.com/collagen. When you purchase from Naturally Inspired, you get access to our group health coaching call and so much more. Go to naturalinspiredradio.com/collagen.
It's interesting, you know, because I watched that video. It's like a little story, narrative, history video. And I never once heard the mention of who was even president or what the president did, or, you know, the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, or like, there was nothing about that. No, it was about her friends and neighbors and how they got through it, and what she learned from it, and what they did together as a community to get through those those trying times and how she feels like how it enriched her life and allowed her to have more gratitude for when things got better and to also have faith that things will get better. Like there was a whole lot, right, that she learned from those experiences. But never once did I hear her, about politics or like the news stories or anything. I get it. Like we are tied to these portals. And so it's capturing our consciousness though. And we're starting to pay so much attention to the portal and these fake stories. It's actually impairing our cognitive ability and our consciousness is being hijacked. We're forgetting what is real and what is important. And we could even be conned into believing that we don't even have a culture anymore. So, yeah, I don't know. You absolutely do have a culture. And a lot of people lost their lives for it. And a lot of people suffered for it and persevered for it. And that's one of the key principles of America is perseverance. And we should never allow anybody to convince us otherwise. But let's get to some news stories because I got some good ones for you today. I came across, who the Midwestern Doctor is. He writes on Substack. He's got a great article out today. I want to give you kind of some major takeaways from it because I know a lot of you are concerned about this topic, and that is osteoporosis. Okay. So the standard approach to osteoporosis is a bone density scan and then drugs, right? A lot of ladies get diagnosed with osteoporosis, especially after having been on birth control for many years. And there's a lot of contributing factors. Okay. But once they get diagnosed with something like that, well, the protocol is bone density scans and drugs. And that should be challenged. While bone mineral density is routinely used as a proxy for bone health, the Midwestern Doctor is arguing that it does not always correlate well with actual bone strength and fracture risk. So these DEXA scans that came out in the 90s, I believe, they came out and then, lo and behold, there was drugs to treat osteoporosis. So we had the scans, and then we get the drugs. You see the pattern here? So some drugs, especially bisphosphonates, increase bone density, but may leave bones brittle and at risk of atypical fractures. So the screen and treat model is in part driven by large drug markets, which skews focus away from underlying causes. Like what causes osteoporosis? Nobody ever asks that. It's again, assumed knowledge. Oh, well, you're an older lady, and so you're going to get osteoporosis. But we don't ask the root cause, like why? Does it have something to do with birth control? Are there other factors, like maybe you need more protein than we're actually told we should be eating? There's a lot of factors. And then there's the factors of like just the pharmaceutical model in general, right? So these drugs increase bone density, but they actually lead to bones being brittle and makes you at risk for atypical fractures. So the screen and treat model is in part driven by large drug markets, which skews focus away from underlying causes and towards profitable interventions, of course, like pharma. So the problem with the DEXA bone density screening, there's significant measurement variability, machine operator, right? Anatomical site. So one test might differ by 5 to 6% from another, which can shift a diagnosis from normal to, oh, you have osteoporosis. Evidence suggests repeating DEXA scans frequently, every 1 or 2 years, doesn't even add value. A study of over 4,000 older women found no useful extra information on repeating DEXA scans over 8 years. Bone strength is more than density. Bone architecture, elasticity, right? Collagen, remodeling matter, and simply boosting mineral content. There's some value in that, and they don't talk about these things. They don't talk about living in prevention. So here's some issues with the drugs. They work by suppressing bone reabsorbing cells, so bone density goes up. Side effects are substantial with these drugs, okay? So esophageal irritation. So if you're on osteoporosis drugs, do you have esophageal irritation? There's jaw issues, unusual fractures, even atrial fibrillation risk, kidney issues. The long-term use may lead to old bone that doesn't remodel well and is actually more brittle. So he argues that increasing a number of bone density doesn't automatically equal improving your health. It doesn't equal fracture resistance or more mobility or even resilience. It's just a way to measure. It's like testing, testing. Under-recognized causes of osteoporosis and bone weakness are mobility. So bones need mechanical load, weight bearing to signal remodeling. Sedentary lifestyles are a big, major contributor. Not lifting anything heavy, a major contributor. Hormones, but beyond estrogen and progesterone and testosterone, there are many hormone-related therapies that are overlooked. Things like insulin resistance that lead to not being able to build muscle, right? Not enough protein, those types of things. Inflammation is another one. Chronic inflammation, right? When you're eating too many carbohydrates and have too much sugar. Mineral and nutrient deficiencies. Poor absorption. Are you even absorbing, right? What's your gut integrity like? Soil mineral depletion. Our food is not nearly as mineral rich as it used to be. Overeating processed foods, glyphosate and Roundup, these are all contributing factors to osteoporosis. And but we're not looking at those things. Instead, it's just DEXA medication, DEXA medication. Environmental toxins in certain medications, corticosteroids, opioids, antidepressants, anticonvulsants. Likewise, they all weaken bone. Environmental exposures like fluoride, heavy metals, persistent organics may also interfere with bone formation. And so a strategy for better bone health, emphasizing functional bone health, right? Building strength, building flexibility. I'm a big believer in supplementation, especially with collagen, weightlifting. So focusing on lifestyle and underlying biology. Weight-bearing movement is huge. Hormonal optimization, reducing inflammation, nutrition, addressing medication toxic risks, and being cautious about over-treatment focused purely on numbers, right? Purely on like DEXA scans. So prevention is always the way. And again, we have to be really, really careful about these, two-tiered strategies in the medical world. Like, oh, here comes the DEXA scan. And then also here comes the osteoporosis medication. Right. And we saw some, the osteoporosis medication, the one that I'm thinking of, I think was called Fosfamax. It actually made bones more brittle and had severe side effects. Again, like it's a campaign. There's always a test, and then there's a solution. So be cognizant of that. I thought that was a really good article from the Midwestern doctor. He's always kind of pulling back the wool on a lot of these different stories. Very interesting stuff. Before we go to break here, I just want to introduce the next topic we're going to be talking about. Very interesting, food allergies as it correlates to vaccination. So a lot of people are starting to understand that vaccines cause injury. right? Things like thrombocytopenia, things like myocarditis with the new COVID-19 injections, Guillain-Barré syndrome, transverse myelitis, Bell's palsy, immune dysfunction. So there's and autism. The CDC has now updated their website to inform everybody that it can't be ruled out that vaccines don't cause autism. It's not ruled out. So we're making little advancements here. And more people are understanding that the flu shot is a joke, right? But did you know that vaccines are linked to allergies, specifically different food allergies? So you ever wondered why so many kids have allergies nowadays? Well, Japan found out. I'll tell you what I mean when we come back. This is Naturally Inspired Radio. We'll be back in 1 minute.
Did you know 80% of beef consumed in the U.S. comes from 4 major corporations, much of it being imported or processed with additives? Want real beef from a real farm? Pumpkin Creek Ranch does things the right way. Local, grass-fed, dry-aged beef with no additives, no shortcuts, just honest quality.
Pumpkin Creek Ranch beef is the real deal. I love knowing exactly where my meat comes from. No additives, no nonsense, just honest quality beef.
Best beef I've ever had. You can taste the difference. Rich, tender, and packed with real flavor. Plus, supporting a local ranch makes it even better.
From pasture to plate, they raise their cattle with care, so you can get rich, natural flavor that only real ranching can provide. Stock your freezer with premium beef you can trust. Visit pumpkincreekranchco.com or call 970-658-0176.
I want to tell you about my cellular reset because I am getting flooded with good comments about it. So many people are using it for joint pain. They're using it for even menopause. People are having wonderful results with it with menopause because it is an anti-inflammatory. It is dense polyphenols. And whether it's joint pain, back pain, inflammation, it targets inflammations because it's dense polyphenols. Like I said, they're like little Pac-Mans that go in and just take care of inflammation. So it's a wonderful product. It's quickly becoming a star product of our product line. And I absolutely love it myself. I don't want to go without it. I notice after, working out and after working hard on the farm that I just don't have the soreness and stiffness. I'm rarely sore and stiff, rarely. And I credit that in large part probably to collagen as well, but in large part because of the cellular reset. So go to naturallyinspiredstore.com today and pick yourself up some, because as soon as you become a customer at Naturally Inspired, you get access to the community, which means you get access to me on my health text line. You get to join us on our Tuesday night calls. You get 15% off of all of the retail products, all those wellness products that you already buy. I guarantee you I got better ones. I guarantee you I got better ones. And not only that, you get access to the Naturally Inspired community and you get to support real solutions for health and changing the medical model. And that's what Naturally Inspired is all about. So visit there today, naturallyinspiredstore.com. All right. So Bobby Kennedy had a little clip here I want to share with you about Japan. And I had kind of forgotten about Japan's study. So this was a great reminder. Take a listen.
The residual food proteins in vaccine because the science suggests that aluminum alone will not cause allergies, but there are but when it's combined with a protein, if it's a latex protein or a dairy protein or a peanut protein, that's when you get this heightened immune response. But in the 1990s, there were a lot of anaphylaxis cases suddenly exploding in Japan. And they traced it to gelatin in the live virus vaccines and the MMR vaccines and some of the other vaccines they had over there. And by 2000, they had removed it all, and the anaphylaxis dropped dramatically. And so, I think we do have human models where you can look at you can look at sort of broad allergic reactions that take place across an entire society that are linked to the vaccine schedule. And there's no question about the size. There's all kinds of studies done on the Japanese example. And so it's just another piece of evidence in the puzzle that, we are now going to put together at NIH and at the other agencies and figure out exactly what is.
I think people are absolutely in the dark about what is in these injections, these vaccines. People don't understand, they're grown in eggs sometimes, that they have, peanut proteins in them. And, you can't just isolate just, triggering the immune response for the intended outcome when you have all this other stuff in it. And so what ends up happening is peanuts. I mean, we all talk about that. It's like, it's very perplexing. Like, why did nobody have a peanut allergy when I was in school? But yet now there's 10 in a classroom. Well, how come nobody had asthma when I was in school, but now there's 15 in a classroom? This isn't something that just happens. And yes, there's other factors. Certainly we have environmental factors, if the food is not great and all of that. But this is one of the things we need to look at because the science is there. They've already done it in Japan. Imagine in Japan, they saw an increase in anaphylaxis and they responded. Oh, what could this be? It's the gelatin. They use latex. There's all kinds of things that end up in these injections. And that is what has increased our allergies in our children. I mean, for goodness sakes, the correlation between autistic kids and the sensitivity to the foods that they have, it is known, like many autistic kids can only eat like a handful of foods because they're so reactive. It's just, they turned a blind eye on this whole topic of vaccines because they didn't want to get to the bottom of it. Instead, they'd rather our kids and now adults live with chronic illnesses and allergies their entire lives. And it's just not acceptable. It's not acceptable. Hopefully we're making headway. It seems like we are, and I'm hopeful that, I think there'll be another solution. Let me tell you, I'm not like, there'll be another solution. This is just the nature of the beast, right? These pharmaceutical companies, they make money. They're very powerful. And so there'll be another product. There'll be another solution for this. But at least, hopefully some of these families, they will get some justice through this process. And people will understand that vaccines are dangerous and that they do indeed injure people. That's the hope anyway. The next story I wanted to cover really fast here before we go to break is about JBS, right? JBS is the biggest meat plant manufacturer anywhere in the world. I believe it's the number one. And it's about to become publicly traded. And this is a big deal. So I want to share this clip with you, and then we'll talk about why it is such a big deal. Here it is.
This election and the last, and the one prior to that. However, President Trump is about to allow JBS, the world's most corrupt beef organization, to become publicly traded in America. President Donald Trump will be the president that allows for the complete destruction of the small, independent family farms and cattle ranches if he allows this to go through. The FCC has already approved it. Now we're just waiting a mere few days for them to allow it on the stock exchange. And what's concerning is we haven't heard a word from the Secretary of Agriculture about this. We haven't heard any of the large cattle organizations that represent cattlemen speak out about this. They claim to represent cattlemen. The truth is they only represent the big guys. They're bought and paid for by the same organizations, JBS, Cargill, Tyson, National Beef, all the collusion that's happening. Go do a very simple search and you'll see the millions and millions and tens upon millions of dollars that these companies have been ordered to pay for collusion and price fixing, which has cost us our family farms and ranches. And what that costs us as the people who aren't family farms and ranches is a stable food system. As much as I'm a supporter of many of the other things that Trump is doing, anything else in the world that we're working to accomplish and achieve doesn't matter when you have famine and you starve to death. So, Mr. President, I love you. I appreciate you. It is our job as citizens to hold you accountable. And whoever you've got in your circle, they ain't speaking truth because you're about to put us in a whole world of hurt. Folks, I need you to share this.
Yeah, again, I don't know what's going on here, but money's king here a lot of the time. So here's some potential things that are happening if this goes through. So greater market consolidation is an issue, right? A centralized food system is a danger. I don't understand how I understand these corporations pay to play, lobbyists, all that stuff. I get it. Like they put big money into getting their way. But I don't understand how people, the citizenry doesn't see that a centralized food system is really a bad idea, right? And that even as a politician, this could really blow up in your face because of biosecurity. Right? I mean, a centralized food system puts you at a big target, right? That's a big target. And we are down to I think it's 9 food companies now that provide over 75% of our food. And so it gets more consolidated by the day. So greater market consolidation. JBS is already one of the largest meat packers globally. Their U.S. stock market listing gives them access to more investor capital and growth potential. This increased scale may strengthen their negotiating power versus individual ranchers. Smaller producers could get squeezed even more. Stricter terms, lower prices because fewer large buyers dominate the market. There's an article out, the scandal-ridden meat packing company. The company IPO makes a bad situation for small farms even worse. Smaller operations are unable to develop alternative supply chains. Those who aren't forced out are left with few options other than to do business with the giants. Reduced local processing options. This is already a big problem. Let me tell you, during COVID, right? I think JBS, because JBS is here in northern Colorado, and they got shut down for a little while, and there were other food plants that got shut down, and it created a shortage. And so reduced local processing options. If JBS focuses on high volume and centralized processing, smaller ranchers may find fewer local or regional processing facilities willing to handle their smaller loads. Transportation, logistics, and scale depend on packing plants' decisions, which may lean toward large suppliers with the best economics of scale. That means higher cost per unit for small ranchers, margins getting squeezed, less influence on pricing and supply chain decisions, risk of prioritizing large scale over regenerative local methods. So that whole regenerative farming thing, that we might be able to bring it back a little bit more locally. It doesn't seem like it will be getting addressed, especially with this new IPO. So JB's push for more capital and global expansion will deprioritize small-scale regenerative sourcing unless there is consumer demand, right? And, it's very difficult to get people to pay more for a quality product in America these days. I mean, there is a small part of the population that really prioritizes quality over quantity, but I think we have been so conditioned over the last, 3-4 decades to buy cheap and buy plenty. Cheap and plentiful. Those are two things that we look for in food. And that's really played a big part in the disease epidemic in our country. Got to get back to quality. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back with your health topic today.
Did you know that nearly 70% of Americans struggle with their health every single day? That's why we are reaching out to health professionals and to anyone who simply has a heart for helping people. Right now, there's an opportunity to make a real difference in people's lives while building a flexible income stream for yourself. Whether you're already working in health, wellness, or just passionate about seeing people thrive, we want to connect with you and introduce you to our system. Together, we can provide real solutions that empower people to take control of their health and create lasting impact. If you've been looking for a way to combine purpose with income, this is it. Visit simplehealthincome.com or text 720-764-7448. That's simplehealthincome.com or text 720-764-7448. We look forward to working with you.
Welcome back. Okay, I know I feel like a broken record, but I've got to address this topic again because I am researching more and more about it all the time, and more, authorities on the topic are talking about it, delivering conferences about it, delivering lectures about it. It is so, so important. And you guys, I just please hear me on this, okay? Metabolic disease is the root cause of all disease in the body. It truly is. And even if it's toxicity, it still disrupts metabolic, your metabolic health and causes dysfunction. So it's like it all comes back to this. But I am really like, and it's just my opinion, right? But so many of the concerns that people have around their health can be walked back, in my opinion, by understanding insulin resistance. Oh my gosh, I just listened to a whole nother lecture about this, you guys. And people, they come out of insulin resistance and they get into a high protein diet, right? High fat, high protein diet. They eat volume. They take care of their gut microbiome, and they're walking back things like gray hair, for goodness sakes. Because all dysfunction in the body is from deficiency. And when you start actually absorbing your food and you start listening to your body, you get the toxicity of sugar out of your diet, and you answer and respond to your body's nutritional needs, things change. I'm not saying it's going to happen for everybody. I'm just saying this is remarkable. Like, it's remarkable the things that can be achieved when you understand insulin resistance. So today I want to talk about 7 concise, high impact points on insulin resistance and their effect on health and disease. Okay. Number 1, it disrupts metabolic function and blood sugar control. Insulin resistance means the cells stop responding to insulin, forcing the pancreas to produce more. And over time, this leads to elevated glucose and elevated insulin, a metabolic storm that sets the stage for chronic disease long before blood sugar ever looks bad on a lab test. I cannot tell you how many people I talk to that are like, well, my blood sugar's fine. I just had it checked. Like, I don't have insulin resistance. My blood sugar's fine. It's got nothing to do with that. Well, it's not that it doesn't have anything to do with that. I'm saying the test is not looking at insulin resistance. And insulin resistance is the marker that you need to be measuring, because that is the path to disease. Okay, number 2, it drives visceral fat storage and chronic inflammation. So you're sitting there wondering, I can't lose weight. I can't figure this out. I don't know why I can't lose weight. Because you're having oatmeal for breakfast every day. You're having carbohydrates. And that is just, it's contributing to chronic inflammation and visceral fat storage. When cells don't accept sugar, right? Because carbohydrates get turned right into sugar, and you've already got too much insulin. So the cells are like, blah, I can't do this, right? And it turns into sticky blood. So when cells don't accept sugar, the excess gets stored as fat, especially around the belly and organs. It doesn't have anything to do with the calories either. That's diet culture thinking, right? The diet culture is deprivation and restriction. It's not about deprivation and restriction. It's about the food you're eating and whether it triggers leptin and you respond when ghrelin, the hunger hormone, is signaling, instead of suppressing it all and messing up the hormones. So this visceral fat isn't passive. It releases inflammatory signals that damage tissues. It accelerates aging, and it interferes with your hormone balance. This is why you're waking up in the middle of the night, right? This is why all these other cascading effects. Number 3, it accelerates cardiovascular disease. So high insulin thickens blood vessels. It raises your triglycerides. It increases blood pressure, and it stiffens your arteries. Insulin resistance is now considered a stronger predictor of heart disease than high cholesterol. Yet most people never even get tested for it. Insulin resistance fuels hormone imbalance in both men and women. Okay. Insulin resistance throws the endocrine system off balance. So women may experience PCOS. That's a strong indicator that it's insulin resistance. If you had PCOS, infertility issues, stubborn weight gain, hair loss, hot flashes that feel worse than they should. Men may experience low testosterone, belly fat, fatigue, erectile dysfunction, muscle loss, skin tags is a big one. Number 5, it contributes to neurodegeneration. So chronically elevated insulin disrupts brain insulin signaling, impairing your memory, impairing your mood, and having an impact on cognitive resilience. Remember we talked about at the beginning of the show, this decline in cognitive ability. And we live a very high carbohydrate, high sugar life here in the standard American diet. So it's another variable for that. And of course, researchers now refer to Alzheimer's as type 3 diabetes, right? Because insulin resistance is so closely linked to brain inflammation and neural decline. It also weakens mitochondria and energy production. So insulin resistance blocks your cells' access to fuel. Even if someone eats constantly, their cells are starving because they can't get it. They can't get to the energy, leading to fatigue, mid-afternoon crashes, not able to work out, or really suffering with recovery, and dependence on caffeine or sugar just to function. Number 7, insulin resistance. It lays the foundation for nearly every modern chronic disease. Insulin resistance is a root driver behind type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, hypertension, obesity, fatty liver disease, cognitive decline, cancers, autoimmune flares, hormonal disorders, accelerated aging, and I would even add in there mental illness. It's not just a blood sugar issue. It is a whole body metabolic breakdown, and it's the precursor, in my opinion, to disease. So it's not a matter of, an aesthetic anymore. I can't lose weight. if you can't lose weight and you're carrying this extra visceral fat, chances are you have insulin resistance and you are headed towards disease. So hear this message. I know I'm constantly banging this drum, but you've got to clean up the diet. You can't be eating the bagels and the pasta and the all this stuff, especially as we get older. You just don't have the same metabolic function. You start to lose muscle mass and things start crashing down. So I wanted to put together a protocol for you. If you're listening to this, you have skin tags, okay? You have dark spots around your skin, maybe underneath your armpits or on the back of your neck is where these things show up. If you have weird skin tags or even red, cherry-colored moles or new skin growths, insulin is a growth hormone. So your body will use it to grow things. You need to get started on a protocol. And that's why I put together a protocol for everybody to check out for insulin resistance. It starts with glucose regulation complex, which helps retain normal blood sugar levels and promote efficient glucose utilization. Also, some other things, so omega-3s, which I absolutely love our omega-3s because they are prescription grade and they're very potent. Also, the cellular reset is a wonderful addition to a protocol for insulin resistance because it targets inflammation and it targets the mitochondria as well and brings back health and at the cellular level. So a big thing for you is the cellular reset. Also, if you're not on a good multivitamin, right? A multivitamin that has the methylated B complex in it is very important. And then, of course, your biggest weapon, hydration, right? And diet. So cutting out those high carbohydrate foods, cutting out sugar, and recalibrating the brain, right? To eat for ghrelin when you're hungry, right? And then eat to trigger leptin, which is your satiety hormone. It's not your fault that, this is such an epidemic. The standard American diet has not facilitated health in the American public. But it is your responsibility. And if you're listening to this and you have some of these things, because the other thing that happens is gut health starts to break down with insulin resistance, right? So we have to support gut and support liver. So liver DTX is a wonderful way to support fatty liver, because that is also something that happens with insulin resistance is fatty liver. So if you are listening to this and you have some of these troubles, right? You're waking up in the middle of the night. You're not really sure why. You're hungry all the time, but you can't seem to get to the point of satiety. That's an issue. If you have joint pain, right? A lot of inflammation. You can't lose that weight, right? These are all contributing factors to insulin. What else did I miss? Skin tags, right? That's a big one. These are markers for insulin resistance, and it's your body's communication. It's communicating with you. It's time to turn things around. High protein diet, right? Healthy fats, lots of hydration with electrolytes that actually get water into the cell, moving your body. You've got to get some resistance training in, whether it's a weighted vest or even, a 15-minute routine with some dumbbells every day. You're not going to be, you're not shooting to be a figure model here, a bodybuilder. You're shooting to build muscle and to decrease sarcopenia, which is the loss of muscle. That immediately helps you with insulin resistance. And you'd be so surprised how fast the body recuperates, right? You just got to give it the right formula. High protein, healthy fat, hydration. Get yourself some cellular reset, omega-3s, liver DTX, a good methylated vitamin. Just some of the things. See you tomorrow, everybody.
Are you ready to stay informed and inspired 24/7? Tune in to Naturally Inspired Radio anytime, anywhere. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com, or for the best mobile experience, download the Simple Radio app. Search for Naturally Inspired Radio. Save it to your favorites, and click on the graphic to listen instantly. Catch live broadcasts, revisit past shows, dive into long-form podcast conversations, and discover rare, censored presentations by leading health experts. Plus, explore documentaries uncovering the hidden truths of occult and esoteric history. Stay connected, stay inspired. Naturally Inspired Radio is always at your fingertips. Tune in now. For health questions or comments, text Tammy directly at 720-303-8868. naturallyinspiredradio.com.